This growth hormone that you produce within this time, you lose. You will not produce after. In my opinion, I don't like too much because I don't have a very good experience with the muscle guns, because one player use a lot, okay? And one time we check in this test before go to the pitch is to compare with the data, but we have the first analysis, the first data, always to compare that, okay, so the player is ready to go to the field because he achieved the same data or better. The athletes who perform best late in the season are usually the ones who manage load intelligent early. So you cannot train at a maximum intensity every single day without consequence, okay? The body needs cycles of stress and recovery in order to adapt. So when you program 1 week, you need to be sure that you have.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to a new episode of the Awarenezzz Podcast. Today we're here with our guest, Rodrigo Baeza. Thank you very much for being with us, and introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, nice to meet you. It's a pleasure to be here with you in this podcast. And okay, I'm Rodrigo. I physiotherapist, rehab physiotherapist in Al Nasser in Dubai. So I'm now 10 years working in football in first division in Spain, in Uzbekistan, in Saudi Arabia, and now here in Dubai. So long time in this world.
Yeah. Yes, man. I mean, looking forward for the podcast. We have a lot of questions that we're pretty sure that I'm going to help a lot of people, and then I also have some selfish questions for myself. So, Rodrigo, I wanted to start off with some statistics. It shows that roughly 50% of all injuries in youth sports are overuse injuries, which mean they're completely preventable. So to start us off, how do you define true injury prevention at the highest level of sports? Like, what is injury prevention to you?
Okay, at the highest level, injury prevention is not about avoiding every injury, okay? Because that's impossible, because football is a chaotic sport. You can control a lot of things by muscle, but in one game can come one opponent, kick you, and you cannot do nothing. So real prevention, I think, is about increasing the athlete availability and ability to tolerate the different demands that we have in the game. And also during the season, because the season now is too long. Now in football, we have a lot of more games than before. The players have less time to rest. Also now, when the summer, that is the time to rest. Now you have World Cup, you have Euro Cup, you have World Cup for clubs. In the World Cup, you put more teams, so more games. So it's not easy. But in professional football, I think the availability is performance. So
yeah, I love that definition of injury prevention being increasing the availability and the capability of the athlete to withstand the game demands, right? Not necessarily preventing every injury, but then being more available and then being more capable for the demands of the sport, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. And then for a young athlete listening, what are some practical steps that they can take to reduce the chance of having an injury, or, as you mentioned, to increase the capability that they have for their sport, or to increase their availability? What are some of the things that you already do with the athletes that you work with that maybe some people can take?
Yes, I think when an athlete is physically prepared, they move better, they recover faster, and they tolerate higher demands. Okay, so performance and prevention are not separate things. They are deeply connected between them. So the most important thing for prevention, for all the young people that start to make this sport and the high performance sports in general, I think I will tell you that the most important will be the food, good nutrition, hydration, so important about this. And I think the most important thing, and the thing that all the people usually forget, is the sleep. When you sleep is with the time that you are recovered. So I think the people don't think about this, but this is the most important thing. And in the high performance, you can see that the players who take care about the sleep, they are a lot better than the others that here that I work in Middle East, the culture of the Muslim people usually is to live more in the night. So the times for sleep change. And you can see that it's not so easy, the recover of after one game or whatever is a little more difficult.
Okay, Rodrigo, and let's go through each one of them, and let's go in terms of order that you mentioned. Let's start with sleep, right? So, what is the importance of sleep in injury prevention? I mean, you mentioned a little bit like, but why specifically is so important for us to be able to sleep better? Why should an athlete pay attention to that?
Yes. Usually, when you are sleeping, all your body is recover. Okay, so all the proteins are recovering your muscle, also the hydration. But the most important thing is when you are sleeping, you produce growth hormone. Okay, but you need to take care about the time. So it's not the same that you sleep 8 hours from 11 p.m. until 8 or 7 a.m. or you sleep 3 a.m. until 12 p.m. the next day. Because in this range of that we have between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m., this growth hormone that you produce in this time, you will not produce after. So your body will produce in the range of 12 p.m. until 7, 8 a.m.
Okay.
So this is very important thing.
And is this because what you have like an internal clock that's like doing this? Okay. And what determines that internal clock though? Is that internal clock determined by, let's say, your normal sleeping schedule, or is that just something that is said to be like that? Because I think it's very interesting and very important that you mentioned that.
Yes. These things you can train about this. I mean, if you train your body can do everything what you want if you train for this. But for normal people that you sleep during the night and your life is during the day, this times is for all of us. After if maybe one athlete need to train and play during the night all his life, he will change these times and will be okay. But for normal people that we are the 95% of the people and the athletes, they need to take care a lot about the sleep and about the rest because it's so important. And when you are injured, more because your body needs to recover extra.
Definitely. And now that you mentioned that, I think it's super important because now that I'm thinking about it, it makes a lot of sense, but I never thought about it this way that, let's say if you sleep at 3 a.m. and then wake up at 12 p.m., you're probably sleeping the amount of time that you need. But most of the time, if you have that schedule, it's probably not so consistent. So you're not training your body to, let's say, produce that growth hormone at a specific time. And then you're like, by being so inconsistent, you're leaving behind the times that probably your body would have been able to produce that growth hormone, right? And I mean, it's just leaving a lot of things in the table when you do these things. I think it's very important. And now that you mentioned when you're injured, is there something different going on, let's say, in terms of sleep, or it's just the fact that you just need more of it?
No, this the same. You don't need to sleep more. That only you need to sleep in the right time.
Okay.
You know. Also now you have one bracelet that the name is Whoop that a lot of players use, and you can see how much recover, how many times they sleep, and also you can you have the experience about this when you go out to dinner and you wake up, you go to the sleep late. The next day you will wake up tired because you're not good.
What is your opinion about all these technical, like the Whoop watches? What do you think about them?
No, honestly I like because they give you a lot of information. Because we have, for example, with a lot of players, we have the access for their group, so we can see how was the rest. Maybe we need to manage the load in the club, in the training, that, okay, this player didn't rest good today. I don't know why, but okay, maybe we need to adapt the training session today because he's not full recovered. Or if yes, we can push him. That this type of things give us a lot of information. Yeah, it's so
Okay.
good.
Yeah, it's mostly the relationship you have with the device. It gives you the information. Now it's your job to figure out what you're gonna do about it, right? And Rodrigo, you mentioned sleep, nutrition, and hydration. I want to go to hydration real quick because I think it's something that a lot of people don't necessarily think about. But what is hydrate like? What is the importance of hydration? And is it only water, or like what else should an athlete be thinking about in terms of hydration?
Yes, we are our body. I don't know the exactly percentage, but we have a lot of water inside. So this is the most important thing because, for example, a lot of type of cramps during the game come about dehydration. So it's so important, and not only the water, because in some part of the world, like here in for example in United Emirates, the water don't have a lot of electrolytes, so you need to take extra electrolytes like for supplements. So this is a very important thing also about take care because a lot of players during here also is a lot of hot weather that if you are not a good hydration, you are dead.
And what are those other like electrolytes that you should take in what amounts probably, and then at what moment of the day should you be taking? Let's say in the case that you guys are, which is hot weather and then training at high intensities, like what are some of the protocols that you guys use?
Yeah, usually we have here one nutritionist that take care about all these things, but he gives to the players electrolytes before they go to the out for the training and during the training. And after the training, they have red fruits that will recover also more electrolytes. They have protein, carbohydrates. They had everything there. So,
Okay. So it's mostly to like have them ready for that, like before and during, and then afterwards, of course, you have your recovery meals and everything. Okay.
yeah.
And then you mentioned the other point was nutrition. So what are some of the things in terms of nutrition? And then also something that I really came across not so long ago, because I've dealt with some injuries, and I used to think, okay, I got injured, therefore I'm gonna eat less because I don't want to go up in weight, right? But then I realized that that's probably a mistake. So I want you to like perhaps give us your opinion on that end.
Yes, because when you are injured, you need to recover the muscle that is injured or the ligament or whatever. And how it works, we will call that the food is your fuel, like for a car. So if you don't eat, how will recover your body? How will works? So this is one mistake that some people do it, that try to eat less when they are injured because they are not doing movements. They are not doing the sport. But this is a mistake because your body needs energy to recover. You only need to manage that, okay, if I will not do the sport, I will eat less carbohydrates, but at least the protein need to be the same. You need to cover these demands of the body.
Okay. So like keeping that, let's say like if you want to reduce caloric intake, then doing that on the end of the carbohydrate, but then keeping the protein the same, or like keeping it at a high amount, right?
Or even you can increase
Increase it. Okay. Pretty interesting, man. And now that we went through sleep, hydration, nutrition, that are some of the big components in that injury prevention point, I imagine a lot of the like how good of a injury preventer you are, or I don't know even know if that's a word, but it comes to the mental part and you trusting, let's say, the person that you have and that what you're doing is going to work. So I just wanted to ask you, like, what are some of the mental shifts that you have to do with your players, or for them to get buying into what you're doing, because I imagine some people like not being willing to, let's say, do some of the protocols that you have them do some of the exercises that you have them do So how do you navigate through that?
Yeah, this is not easy, and a lot of these things the experience gives to you how to manage all this, because all the players are different, so all the injuries also are different, and in the beginning of the season, this is a little more difficult because you don't know the player. You need to start to take the confidence. So, okay, in the end, your works speak about you. So, in this case, you continue working, and when the results is okay, it's good. The player is more confident with you, and after he will ask for you. When he have something, hey, Rodri, I need your help. But of course, also in terms of psychology, long-term injuries like ACL, meniscus, this is always I recommend to the players that if they are not so strong in their minds, try to manage this with one psychologist, because it's long time. Maybe the first time that you take one ACL, you always was healthy, and 8 months you need to be out.
Yeah,
It's not easy to manage this, and you
definitely.
will have moments that you don't want to continue, and another that
Yeah,
is
and
not.
and what is something that you would tell, let's say, to somebody, let's say, that is watching this episode and that is listening to you speak about all these things, and that maybe they are like, oh no, I'm just gonna train hard and I'm not gonna pay attention to, let's say, the things that I would have to do to prevent injuries. What is something that you would tell them that would kind of like convince them in some way that these things are important for them to do?
They only need to check the best athletes in the world, the lifestyle that they have. Cristiano Ronaldo is the the best example for all of us. That 42 years old, and he's better than the kids that have 20 years now. So now they need to take care about all these things, because if they want to play long time, they need to take care about their body. You have only one body, so you need to take care about this, good hydration, good training, prevention. I mean, obviously, all the things can happen, because it's in football you cannot control. But you need to, if you want to play long time, you need to take care of this, because if you want to play, all these things count.
Definitely, definitely, and I think that's a very important point that you mentioned, that the evidence is out there. Like, just check at the people that have been able to perform at the highest level for the longest amount of time and see what they do. Like, we have quite the opposites. Let's say, just to put two examples. Let's look at Neymar and let's look at Cristiano Ronaldo. Right, two extremely talented individuals, but one is 32 and is probably not gonna play more than 2 more years, and then Cristiano is 42 and it's like he's gonna play for 8 more years.
This is
So
the big difference, and also you check that the big talents before Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, all these players 10 years ago, with what age they come to retire? With 30, 31. And now a lot of players are still 39, 40.
yeah, totally, totally, and like
I
if
also want to ask, uh,
you go,
from a
Matthew.
professional perspective, like, do you think also depends on the players style the players are? For example, like Neymar, explosive, like a lot of dribblings, that it gets more on the knees, or is it just they're not doing their rehab good enough?
Yes, also depends on this. When one player is like a explosive player, it's not the same Neymar that, for example, Iniesta, that the type of play is different. But at least I think that if you take care, Ronaldo is explosive, Cristiano, and still 42 years old. It's true that the statistic is more easy that one player like Iniesta come longer than one player like Cristiano Ronaldo. This is true, because it's more aggressive for the knees, for the hip,
Definitely.
also
So
the
it's even
injury.
more surprising Cristiano is still playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the core proof. He's like the most demand. Like he's one of the most explosive players, and he's still at 42 being able to perform like this. It's just insane.
Always interesting to hear like when players come back from a big injury, or something like Alphonso Davies right now. Like before, he was sprinting down the whole line, and now he had like this long injury, and of course, he looks like a different player now. But I hope he can get back to his form.
Because it's not easy when you come from a long term injury like one ACL. There is some rehabs that will be amazing, and the player will come back top. But another things, as we discussed before, also mentally, you think that your knee is not ready. So when you go to turn, you think I don't feel comfortable. That probably the knee is ready to produce the change of direction, everything. But sometimes the head not allow to you to do all of this. So it's not easy. But with time, he will come better, sure.
Definitely, man. And now that we're talking about injuries, that as you mentioned, despite all of our efforts, they still happen, right? So when the moment comes that they happen, I wanted to know, like, what are some of the first things that you do? What are some of the first protocols that you do to first, to say, okay, these are the things that we're gonna look at throughout the injury. This is how we're going to progress. Of course, I imagine it might change depending on the injury, but then I just wanted to see, like, in the general term, what are some of the most important components of an injury recovery process?
Yes, I have one protocol that I use for all injured players. Don't care if it's tear muscle, if it's sprained ankle or whatever. That in the moment that the player make the problem, the injury, okay. Usually in the club, when you work in football, is the doctor who do the check for the player and the diagnosis. You do the MRI or whatever you need. But the moment that I start to work with the player, okay, usually you take the acute phase. And after the acute phase, that can be 3-4 days, 1 week, I usually work a lot with ball test. I don't know if you know about this. It's one machine that work about you can take the medition of the strength.
Oh, I think does it have like 4 plates and
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after the acute phase, usually I do one test for this player to check and be sure that this muscle is ready to produce force. So when we make this test, obviously the level of the strength will be very low. But in this moment, we only want to know if this muscle is ready to work. So after this, we will start one loading phase, and we will build the strength in the gym. Okay, imagine if it's tear muscle in the quadriceps. So we will start to work on quadriceps exercise to build the properly strength. And before to go to the field, I do another test with BALT. In this moment, yes, because the muscle will be ready, so I need that the player produce all the force that he can, all the power, to check if the muscle is ready to go to the field. Okay, so if he pass all these tests with zero pain, no swelling, and everything is coming good, the player feel good, we go to the field. Okay, in the field we manage everything and we control everything with GPS. Okay, and before to go to more than 100% of maximum speed, we do another test on BALT about jumps, about plyometrics. Because run always is a plyometric, but okay, under 15%, 60% is like jogging, it's not high intensity. But when you go more than 70%, the things come in serious. So you need to be sure that the body no asymmetries between the jumps, the run is clear, and all these things. And after, with the GPS, usually one player in one game do 9 kilometers, 1,000 meters in high speed, 500 meters more than 25 kilometers per hour. So what we need to try to achieve always is the before go with the team, this player need to achieve the 55% of this data.
Okay.
When he achieves this data, that means that it's like he did one half in the game.
Mhm.
So in this moment, the player is ready to go with the team, and now it's up to fitness coach and the coach to continue working with him. But when we give the player to the fitness coach and the coach, it's like he's clinically clear, like he finished with.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you first start after that acute phase just to you test it just to see if they're able to produce force, if the muscle is able to produce force, so you can start loading it. And then before taking him to the pitch, you want to make sure that it's able to produce as much force as possible without any pain. And then
And sorry.
you go.
And also that we check in this test before go to the pitch is to compare with the data that the player have before the injury.
Okay. Oh,
So
okay. Before the injury. Okay.
yes. So usually, after working the loading phase, the player usually come in the in better condition than before. But we have the first analysis, the first data, always to compare that. Okay, so the player is ready to go to the field because he achieved the same data or better than before injury.
Okay, so it's not only because it makes a lot of sense, because of course you're gonna be better than when you got injured, but then you want to measure it against when you were healthy. And then do you measure it against, let's say, the other foot, the other leg, or do you just measure that specific leg without necessarily comparing to the other one?
No, usually we take always a measure of the both legs.
Okay.
But the main thing is compare how was before, because maybe before have one asymmetry of 12%, but obviously if you try also in the after the loading phase, you reduce this asymmetry, also better,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But principally you compare with before.
And let's say, because I like one of the points that I wanted to talk about was rushing through an injury, right? Through an injury recovery. So do you want to wait to the point until your leg is as strong as it used to be before, or just some percentage of it? Let's say, oh, if it's 80% as strong as it was before, we're good to go. We're good to like start loading it in the field. Or do you want to wait until it's 100% as strong or even more than it used to be before?
This is a good question, and I cannot tell you one exactly answer because it depends of the player. You know, for example, if it's we talk about one ACL, the player cannot go to the field with 80% of asymmetry. You know, but if come for one strain grade 1B in the adductor, of course we can go, because in this case the recovery will be like 3-4 weeks, so the player will not lose the power, the strength. But maybe in the test what show that this balance is because a lot of things, you know, like maybe when he is not ready to produce 100% of strength because have a little pain, but this you can go to the field anyway, because, for example, in the adductor, you can do a straight run. You know, maybe you will delay the change of direction on the shoots 2 or 3 days. You retest. Now the power that the adductor produce now is okay. So now we can progress for the change of direction, for shoot the ball, and all these things.
Okay, I understand. And then it's kind of like, okay, it depends on the injury that you have. And this question that I'm going to ask, I think it also depends on the injury that you have, but I also want to hear your thoughts. Is like, how much do you have pain as an indicator of whether the person is good to go, or they can still progress, let's say, with a little bit of pain, you know? Can they go through it?
Okay, this is depends in a lot of players, because you play football, so you know that some people will have a small pain and will say, no, I cannot. And another will say, I don't feel pain, and maybe they are injured real,
No, that's
So
me.
we take care about a lot of things. We don't progress only take care about the feeling of the players. We have MRI to show us how is the muscle real. We have the ball test to check objective how the muscle is available to produce force. So imagine the player tell me today, Rodri, I feel pain, I don't feel comfortable. Okay, but 2 days ago you did MRI and now the injury is not there. The fevers are recovered, are good. You are still little edema, little inflammation, no problem. But MRI 2 days ago, good. Yesterday you did the ball test and you are available to produce force. So, okay, you can have and you can still feel some pain, but real your muscle is ready to go. We can work. We will manage. Always you will need to listen the player, but not only the player. You need to take care all these things in consideration to progress or not.
In that case, like, of course, you listen to the player, but let's say for 3 days he just says, like, I don't feel good. Like, he's also said, like, you're going to send it to like a mental coach or something. Or how do you deal with that situation?
Yes, sometimes we always try to speak with the player to explain. Let's see, it's normal that you can feel pain, but as explained before, all the tests are good, so you are ready. Okay, and always you need to explain to the player. If you feel pain, I will never go to 100% of intensity, but the rehab go step by step. So we go out today, we go for 50, 60, 70%. We check how is your feeling, because a lot of time the players tell to you, I cannot, Rodri, I feel pain. But after you go to the field, how you feel? No, I feel good. Okay, I told you. So always you need to go back and go forward. So
leading the way and going step by step, just by increasing.
Yeah, and I think having that mix of course subjective data, which is what they tell you on how they feel, how you feel them, but then also objective data that is, hey, the MRI is good. Like, you cannot, there's no way that you can fake this, like, you don't have an injury anymore. And I think that's where that objective data comes in, and it's actually very important. So yeah, I mean, just a mixture of that to then determine, okay, if everything is good, if everything is objectively good, but you still say that you have a little bit of pain, then you're probably a little bit more comfortable progressing them, because you know that structurally things are good, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. And when it's the moment of bringing them back, like going back to the things that you do, right? Because we stopped in the moment that you do the test to see if they can produce force. Now what you do is you do plyometrics just to see if they're able to go to that 70 to 100% of a sprint, plyometric testing. And then you want to make sure that they're able to withstand at least 55% of the load that they will withstand, let's say, in a normal game. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and Rodrigo, now that you mentioned that last part, I think it's very important, because one of the main things that you're thinking about, let's say, when you're recovering from an injury is, okay, how do I get back in shape? How do I get back to competing at a high level? Do you only get them back in shape doing, let's say, football work in this case, or do you use other sports or other alternatives to, let's say, have them back in shape? I don't know. I know some people use pools. Some people use boxing. I don't know. Do you also use that? And what are some of the good things that you can do to be able to get in shape while you're not necessarily to play a full game?
Yes. Usually during the rehabs with me, sometimes we go to the pool, but not to make another sport, only to go and work in the water, because it's better in the acute phase. You can do a lot of things inside that you cannot do outside. Honestly, with the players, I only work on football, and they only do football. But it's true that one study show the persons, the kids, when they are young, the people who made a lot of different sports, and work, and they have a lot of different coordination, and they control all these things. In the future, they will have less injuries than the people who do one sport from since they are young and only do this sport.
Okay.
But because you develop all the other things, and obviously the body will move better if you control a lot of different things. Imagine you play tennis. If you also play tennis and you are with your right hand always shooting, what you do with your left. But if when you are a kid, you do all the sports, you will improve better and you will have less injuries.
Definitely, definitely. And Rodrigo, now that we get a good idea, okay, what is injury prevention? What are some of the main things that go into it? Now, how do you recover from an injury? Some of the protocols that you have, and then important to know that not every injury is the same. But then there are some principles that you can apply to it of like, okay, the strength is a very big indicator. Then the amount of load that you can take is a very big indicator as well. Now let's go to, okay, how do you handle it in a season? We're coming towards the end of a season, so I imagine a lot of people are tired, and you probably start planning, let's say, for the next season. So I want you to run us through, okay, from the beginning of the season, what are some of the things that you have in mind? What are some of the things that you do to make sure that the players are available and to make sure that they're able to withstand the loads that they're having all throughout the season? Because as you mentioned, every time we're playing more and more and more games. So how do you make sure that your players are ready for that?
Yes, a season is not won in September. You know, the athletes who perform best late in the season are usually the ones who manage a load intelligent early. So you cannot train at a maximum intensity every single day without consequence. Okay, the body needs cycles of stress and recovery in order to adapt. So when you program one week, you need to be sure that you have days to push. Normally, it's the day plus -4, and days you need to go down, like -2, -1, or +1, +2. So this is more depends on fitness coach to do this program, but obviously you need to manage the fatigue, because the goal is not to win Tuesday training session. The goal is to still perform in April and play the games.
Definitely, definitely.
Does it
So
sometimes happen like in a practice? Of course, like the goal of the manager is to like structure the training. If there's someone is pushing too hard, like you have to tell him, okay, today is a slow session. Does it sometimes happen?
Yes. Sometimes this depends a lot on fitness coaches. That you have some fitness coaches that the philosophy for them is the player need to be ready and they will arrive to the match in fresh condition. But they have you have another fitness coach that they said work, and after the player arrive dead to the game. So always it's like the war, we will call like this, but it's not a war, that we have between physios and fitness coaches, that they always try to go for performance and we try to go for health. So we are the people who tell them, listen, the players are coming to the clinic every day. They are so tired. They are complaining about the load. We need to reduce or we need to increase because they are so fresh. You know, we try to manage. But yes, it's not easy. And also when the calendar, if you play every 3 days, you cannot do nothing. You need to push and you need to push.
yeah, definitely. And now that you mentioned, because you mentioned that the fitness coach is always pushing for performance and you're pushing for health, but it sounds to me like it actually is that they're pushing for performance today, but then you're pushing for performance towards the whole season, because you're still one, like if they're able to perform, that's better than they can do it all the season than if they can just do it for one day. So I think always like having that long-term mentality versus having, let's say, a short-term mentality of I want you to perform now no matter what and give you the best. It's kind of like the difference, right?
Yes, this is true, but I need to say also, and this is on favor of them, that all 3 points every week counts. So the coach want the best players to play. So sometimes you need to push them, the players, and they need to achieve the matches because you are in high performance. And to be honest, high performance is not healthy.
Definitely.
So sometimes it's not easy to manage, but it's the part of the job.
Definitely. You cannot expect for it to be all perfect and all everybody healthy. There's always
Yes.
gonna be some component of it when you're pushing your body to the limits. And Rodrigo, a big thing here is okay, maybe they don't get to be injured, but let's say at some point during the season, some players can get fatigued, they can start getting overtrained, and you can start seeing those signs. What are some of the things that you start looking at, let's say, when athletes start getting fatigued, or maybe they get to a point where okay, they're very prone to an injury, they're very likely that's very likely to happen, and what are some of the signs that you look for so they don't get to the point that they're injured and you're able to mitigate it before that?
Yes, you cannot ignore what the players say to you. So if the players say to you that I'm so tired and I start to feel some pain, you need to take care about this because also a lot of players, they think, okay, I felt this, but okay, it's nothing, and they ignore, and after come the injury. So sometimes they will not tell you nothing, but you know the player because you work with him every day. So he come to the physiotherapy room, you touch him, you see that the muscle is so tight. And sometimes you have players that you need to stop them and another players that they want to stop.
Yeah.
So yes, you never can ignore these things because you need to prevent. If you, for example, if you have a FIFA break and one player come to you like this, okay, so maybe it's time to this player to, okay, take some rest, recover, and come good. But if the calendar, you have two games in 10 days, maybe because in the football you need to take care about all these things, the context and manage the risk, everything. So if the player, you are tired, you have fatigue, but we have 3 games, the coach is pushing to this player play, and you are agree, okay, you know, there is the risk. Coach is risk, player is risk. You are agree to play, okay, go to play. You know, you need to speak with a lot of people and tell them the truth. This is the reality, what we want, what we need, and after proceed.
Yes, definitely. It's just being aware of every single component that's being in play. And then you have to come up with a decision that's probably not the best in one end, but then you are aware of that and you know that like you're willing to take that risk considering the potential benefit that it can give to you. And
And
Rodrigo, yeah, you go, Matze.
I think we want to ask the same question. Or like to give you an example case, Rodrigo, let's say there's a young athlete out there, he has a game on Sunday, he comes home at 6 p.m. and he knows the next, on Monday, he has team practice again. What would be a professional routine for a good recovery for him?
For recovery,
Yeah.
usually here we work recovery like the first one, hydration, nutrition, and rest. But what we work with the players after one game is to do like the next day, very soft activation for the muscles, you know? And after, usually the supplements and contrast baths help the players a lot. But also usually they go for massage with massages in the club. But the most important things, as we discussed before, like nutrition, hydration, and rest, this will help a lot for recovery for the players.
So in case for like a young athlete who doesn't have like all the tools like of having a physiotherapist, like what would be some advice for him? Like maybe what's something he should do after he's getting home from the game? Like
Okay,
some deep stretch.
Yeah, sometimes not. When they finish the game and they go home, the protocol that they have is good food, good rest, sleep, and next day, usually we have a session after the game, and we take off in the second day. Okay, because usually 48 hours after the game is when the players are totally dead. So in this case, the plan for recovery is food, sleep, nutrition, and after keep the activation for sometimes we recommend to the players do bike session, okay, to move the legs, delete all the toxic substance that they can have in the blood, in the legs, and that's it.
Okay. So that, of course, the main three pillars that you mentioned: hydration, nutrition, and recovery. And then that day afterwards, try to do some sort of like muscle activation. And you mentioned, if I understood correctly, that 48 hours after the game is where they're actually the most tired, and that's why you take the day off.
Yes.
Okay, I understand. Well, Rodrigo, I mean, you came up with some great insights, man. Some very good things, very important things that a lot of people don't necessarily have in mind in each component of like the injury prevention, let's say, continuum, which is okay. We prevent, then let's say at the moment that it happens, because it's going to happen, we recover. How do we do it in the right way? And you mentioned very important and actionable things for people to do, which I think is very valuable. Then now lately, how you do it through the demands of the season, which is okay. Ideally, there are some things that we can do. Then you have to start putting games into it. You have to start putting other coaches into it. You have to start putting trainings into it. So it's not just something that you get them in isolation, but you have to work around many different things. And I think you walk through that very well. And I truly thank you for just coming up with the insights, man. This is a very a topic that really interests me. So yeah, man. Thank you a lot. Matze, do you have anything else before the rapid fire?
No, you gave some great value, Rodrigo. And I think Camilo put a good point, like saying you help the players to perform and stay healthy for a long season, while the strength coaches, they of course increase the performance. But you're the actual guy who's helping to perform on a long way. And you gave some good steps also for the guys listening, how to do it on their own.
Yeah. Rodrigo, now if you're okay with that, we can do some rapid fire questions just to finish it off.
Okay, let's go.
So let's start. Ice baths, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes? Why? Just a little short why?
Because this help a lot to do the recover for the muscles, and also the perception of the player. Usually, if they like, obviously, if the player don't like to do, I will not push him to do. But it's good because also the pressure of the water will help you to recover. And so if you like, do it. If you don't like, no need.
Okay, perfect.
Massage guns, yes or no?
Sorry?
Massage guns, yes or no?
In my opinion, I don't like too much because I don't have a very good experience with the muscle guns, because one player use a lot, okay? And one time, when you use a lot in the same muscle, the muscle come like asleep, like tired. And in one game, this player come injured, and we say, what happened? What we did wrong? And he told us, no, every day at home I'm doing the gun muscle in the quad and these things. So, okay, after the high intensity trainings or matches, you can use, but every day is not a good idea.
It gets like
so
underactive. It gets relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you use it after practice, you can use it for like 20 minutes. Not too much.
You can use. Yeah.
Okay, Rodrigo, and does taping an athlete's ankle every game actually protect him?
This usually depends on player. If the player come to you and ask, I need tape, you cannot tell him no, because in the game, the player will decide what he wants. But in my opinion, okay, during the game, you can put, but during the trainings, they need to train without this, because if not, the ankle don't have the stability, don't have the power. So, like prevention in the game, okay, it's not a problem. But during the training, if you don't need and you don't have injury there, no need.
Okay, perfect.
When is playing through the pain a pro mindset, and when is it a career-ending mistake?
Sorry, bro, the connection was not good and I cannot hear you.
When is playing through the pain a pro mindset, and when is it a career-ending mistake? So let's say a player, he has pain in the practice, and then he's like, "Oh, I should stop." Or when do you think, like, when should he stop training?
Usually, this depends a lot on the player, because if he come to you and tell you, Rodri, I cannot continue, even if it's true or not, you cannot tell him, come on, continue. But after, if he come out, when you check him, you can see what is real happening there. But in the same moment, in the game or in the training, when the players say, I cannot more, usually you need to take him out.
Okay.
And often, like, probably when it's like a muscle injury, you would tell him to go off. But like, for example, we had guys in the practice, and he got hit on the shin,
Yes.
on the bone. I mean, then you should continue playing, right?
Yes, if you have one situation like one hard tackle, or you can see that this player have one tear muscle because he wanted to shoot, and after shoot he's limping, you know that is clear. But sometimes the player will come to you because they are tired or because they have some discomfort that they say, I cannot more. Obviously, you need to always to believe the player and take care about him.
Okay. And Rodrigo, what is the one thing athletes should do? Let's say if they have a long travel, just so their legs don't feel that heavy or they feel like their legs feel better.
Yeah. Usually when we have a long travel to play away, what we do always is when we arrive to the hotel after the travel, we go for a walk or we go for one room and do some mobility there to wake up the legs, start to move again. And the routine before the game, usually we have in the morning the same. We go for a walk or we do some mobility in the gym and prepare the player for the game.
Okay, just to keep moving, not staying still. Okay, perfect.
And we talked about it before, like talking about different positions or player styles, and which position on the pitch has the shortest career span.
Yeah, in which position?
Yeah, or like
I
what would
think
you say?
in the winger. The wingers have the most risk for the injuries because they are usually the most explosive players.
Okay.
So usually the wingers and because always center backs and midfielders, they are pretty comfortable, they turn, but they don't have too much explosive actions. Okay, center backs, if they attack too much to you, it's okay. But usually it's the wingers what they have the most.
Definitely. And like that physicality of explosiveness is like one of their main, I don't know, like traits. So it's not only, okay, how much are you going to be able to play, but then also how much are you actually going to be able to perform at a high level and be fast and be explosive as you need to be. And then Rodrigo, just to finish it up, I mean, you gave a lot of good insights, a lot of good information, but if you could finish it up with one piece of advice for young athletes, which one would it be?
That they believe and they trust in the people who is around them, because if you want to go far and have a long career, you need to be with the people. You cannot go alone. So always the people that is work with you, physios, doctor, fitness coach, they are trying all the time to help you and to make you better athlete, better person. So take care about all of this. Also take care about the prevention, the hydration, the sleep, the nutrition. And enjoy the sport, because the football is so beautiful. So enjoy as much as possible, and if you are lucky and you do the things in the properly way, the opportunity will appear, sure.
That's amazing, man. And I think we so often hear the advise to not trust anybody and to do things, which I mean, it has some component of it that you can think of. Okay, it's true. You maybe want to rely on yourself on some things. Of course, you want to develop your abilities and be capable of doing things. But then you have to acknowledge that the person that's surrounded by a good support system is always going to beat you if they take advantage of it, if you try to do it alone. And there's always going to be, like, if you have a good support system around you, a good amount of people around you, and you trust them and you take advantage of them and you get the best out of them, you're always going to go farther than, let's say, somebody that's trying to do it alone. So I think that's a great piece of advice you just gave there, man. And I mean, again, brother, I just wanted to thank you for just taking the time. I really appreciate you, and just looking forward for another conversation, man. This one was great.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
it was
much.
good.
I was very comfortable here.